All eyes on the selfie boat again, possibly the greatest embarrassment since the Palestinians' loss of every single war they ever started. For quick context, here's a quick recap of the details before we give you something fresh. On July 9, Israel's Navy intercepted the Madleen, a British-flagged yacht carrying Greta Thunberg and 11 other activists 125 nautical miles off Gaza's coast within Israel's exclusive economic zone, the EEZ as it's called, which extends 200 nautical miles under international law. The Freedom Flotilla coalition's vessel claimed to be trying to breach Israel's legal naval blockade imposed since 2007 to stop Hamas weapons smuggling and carrying a symbolically small load of baby formula and medical supplies. Israel towed the boat to Ashdod's port, offering the activists food and water and pledged to deliver their aid via the already set up humanitarian channels. Of course, they refused that. Thunberg, deported to Sweden via Paris on July 10th, claimed that Israel kidnapped them in international waters, a false narrative echoed by the UN representative Francesca Albanese and Amnesty International's Agnes Callamard. The funny part is that Greta was the first to crack. She signed those deportation papers so fast and was immediately put on a civilian flight to France, where she made her way back to Sweden from there. France fully cooperated with Israel, as did Sweden. Upon arrival at the airport, several reporters tried questioning her. What was it like being around Israelis? How did they talk to you? What were the conditions like, etc., etc.? Greta deflected all of the questions, preferring to keep talking about the genocide in Gaza. Clearly, there was really nothing to report. She couldn't say they beat her. She couldn't say that they starved her, yelled at her, called her silly names, etc., etc. Nothing. They just scooped her up out of the water and sent her home. I don't know of any kidnappers who do that, yet they insist on calling it kidnapping. 8 activists, including French MEP Rima Hassan, refused to sign deportation papers to be sent back home. Now, why in the world might they do that? I thought they wanted to leave. Well, if they sign papers, then they acknowledge Israel's government and their sovereignty over the area. So, better not to leave. They are now detained at Givon prison near Ramle, awaiting hearings before the Detention Review Tribunal. Brazilian activist Tiago Avila reportedly began a hunger strike, rejecting cooperation in order to avoid legitimizing Israel. Adala, their legal team, alleges unsanitary conditions like bed bugs, but Israel's democratic process ensures that there will be a judicial review, unlike the activists' provocative stunt. How do they know there's bed bugs? Well, they don't. Their refusal to leave, despite continuously crying kidnapping, ties Israel's hands as they're trying to exploit the legal system. Meanwhile, the Game of Thrones actor Liam Cunningham, who photographed himself at the Madeleine's launch in Sicily on June 1st, vowed to join the crew and said he was going to be on it, but was mysteriously absent during the interception of the ship, later confirmed by the FFC. Interesting, huh? What happened, Liam? Was there more important things to take care of than to break the siege in Gaza? He continued slamming Israel on X, even clashing with Conor McGregor, who took Israel's side in this saga. Cunningham's retort, calling out the MMA fighter's fight against Khabib, where he eventually tapped out, sidestepped, admitting that he never sailed on the boat, exposing his publicity-seeking hypocrisy while Israel simply upholds the law. Guys, it's not hard. If someone is telling you that you can leave and all you got to do is simply sign a piece of paper, just do it. It's not kidnapping if you insist on staying. Israel's government is on the ropes as opposition parties, including Yesh Atid, National Unity, and Yisrael Beitenu, announced that they will submit a bill today to dissolve the Knesset and force early elections. They're hoping BIBI won't sweep the elections like he always seems to. The decision, binding all opposition factions, aims to topple Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition, which clings to 68 of the 120 Knesset seats. To stall the vote, the coalition jammed the legislative agenda with bills, likely pushing the debate until this evening. The crisis has exploded over ultra-Orthodox parties, United Torah Judaism and Shas, threatening to support dissolution due to the government's failure to pass a draft exemption law for yeshiva students. UTJ's Yitzchak Pindrus confirmed, saying, "As far as I know, we are voting for the dissolution," while Shas's Council of Torah Sages delayed it until today. Netanyahu, who cut short his corruption trial testimony claiming that he wasn't feeling well today, summoned Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee Chairman Yuli Edelstein for an urgent meeting, almost certainly to try to persuade him to remain in his party. The Orthodox world has a massive voting base, and his exit could be the end of Bibi's party. Coalition Whip Ophir Katz and Cabinet Secretary Yossi Fuchs are negotiating with Haredi leaders to try to find some sort of compromise. If the bill passes the preliminary vote, it needs 3 more readings in order to take effect. If it fails, the opposition has to wait 6 months in order to try again. Israel's political stability is at stake as Netanyahu scrambles to hold his coalition together during wartime. Oh, Iran, what are you doing? Today, the IRGC's defense minister warned that Tehran will strike U.S. bases in the region if the nuclear talks fail and conflict erupts. Curiously, they already did seem to fail, as Khamenei stated that they will not stop uranium enrichment, with Trump saying that that's not going to fly. The threat, issued days before the 6th round of U.S.-Iran nuclear negotiations, again reaffirms Iran's refusal to halt its nuclear program. Russia offered to remove excess nuclear material to try to salvage some sort of deal, but the Revolutionary Guard's commander Hussein Salami, not the sandwich, declared hostility towards Israel and persists regardless of any agreement. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu assured the U.S. President Donald Trump that Israel won't strike Iran's nuclear sites until the talks fully collapse, but warned that Iran is deceiving the world in order to buy time. That much is obvious. The U.S. and European countries filed a complaint with the IAEA accusing Iran of non-cooperation. U.S. Central Command's General Michael Kurilla told Congress that the military has various options for a potential attack on Iran. Curiously, a fire at a methanol storage facility in Bushehr port killed 3 and injured 10. It sparked sabotage rumors, though no evidence supports this. Trump noted that Iran's growing aggression, saying that we'll see what happens. He says he's not really so, optimistic about a deal. But Israel remains on high alert, determined to prevent Iran from crossing the nuclear threshold and maintaining nuclear weapons, prioritizing its survival against a regime that's bent on its destruction. The strike options against Iran have already been ready to go for many years, and Israel really isn't inventing anything new, even if they do choose to strike now. Possibly the greatest asset that Israel has is that if the talks fail, the U.S. is out of options, and they will join hands with Israel to ensure the Western world's complete safety. So what else is going on in the world? Well, in Los Angeles, anti-Trump immigration protests led the California Mayor Karen Bass imposing a downtown curfew after 197 arrests were made for vandalism, with Trump deploying 2,000 National Guard troops and 700 Marines in order to create order. Governor Gavin Newsom is calling it democracy under attack. In Yemen, the Houthis fired a missile towards Israel, claiming it hit Ben Gurion Airport, but no. The IDF intercepted it, scattering debris near Jerusalem with no injuries. However, a missile fragment did fall on an Arab house. In Austria, a 20-year-old former student killed 9 in a Graz high school shooting, supposedly motivated by past bullying, before taking his own life. Well, that's all for today. For JFE.com, this has been Overnight Israel. We will catch you next time.